Think Before You Sleep dropped a video about the Tectone situation, and it's titled "What Dating an OF Girl Is Like, Bro." People, and the thumbnail is not guilty. This is not in a court of law. This is more than likely think think before you sleep's opinion. Guys, let's see what it contains. Let's see how the video goes. Yeah, because now the court transcripts are out. So I don't know what he gonna talk about. I watched Legal Mindsets video on live stream on it. So I'm aware of some of the information from the transcript. But yeah, people, you know it's Wolf. Subscribe if you haven't already. Yeah, guys, get to know Jesus. Yeah, people. As always, God loves you. God bless you. Yeah, it's Wolf.
Tectone went to court today, and he lost the court case against Pink Chu. Tectone, with his 5 lawyers, lost. She had 1, and she won. That's how bad it was. For the next 10 years, Tectone can't own guns and has to pay all of her attorney fees, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Thanks, Miskiff. Yep. We can always trust you to report things accurately. In case you haven't heard, Twitch streamer Tectone and an ex-girlfriend of his who goes by Pink Chu have been in a legal battle after Pink Chu publicly accused Tectone of sexually assaulting her. Recently, Pink Chu filed for a protective order, which is to prevent stalking and harassment.
And yo, mind you, this is about a year and a half later after they broke up, when she was talking with someone else that Tectone was involved with, and magically, oh my gosh, I was great. Okay, but that's my point of view. You consented then, and now you're rescinding consent. That's suspicious.
And Tectone lost a motion to get it dismissed. Now, before we get into all this, let me just say that I'm not even remotely neutral on whose side I'm on. I started out neutral. I started out with the mindset of, let's take a look at the facts of the case. Maybe there's some nuance here. Maybe both parties did something bad at certain points. Usually that's how relationships in particular work. But my mind changed when I began researching, and I think after you guys watching see the details, you'll come to the same conclusion that I did, which is that this is a massive failure of the justice system, which is why this video is a defense of Tectone. It's about how, in my opinion, none of the assault allegations were true, and it's about how this whole situation was a coordinated effort from multiple streamers to ruin his career. That being said, Tectone or John...
Oh my gosh, how is he going to... Okay. I'm gonna watch the video and be quiet.
Is a popular Twitch streamer who started out by playing gacha games.
I played Genshin Impact, so you don't have to. So it's Breath of the Wild, but
lock him up
with waifus. Also, be careful of shit-talking Paimon's English voice acting.
More recently, Tectone is known for calling out how entitled the least talented video game voice actors are, and for helping expose Hassan Piker as an animal abuser. And this is Pink Chu.
Hey, officer, you ever realize how hard it is to say rough 2 times in a row?
Rough?
Good boy.
Is that her? Is that her? I've been seeing these shorts on my timeline recently, bro. Oh my gosh. Is that really her?
Well, that was cringe. Anyway, Pink Chu, who also goes by her middle name Ashley, is an OnlyFans creator who's achieved success after getting a very...
Yo, don't tell... This is 2 different people, bro. This is 2 different persons, bro. Let me...
Anyway, Pink Chu, who also goes by her middle name Ashley, is an OnlyFans creator who's achieved success after getting a very noticeable amount of plastic surgery, followed...
Oh my gosh. These are 2 different persons. These are 2 different people, bro. The makeup... Is this... Did she get plastic surgery here?
By a generous use of photo editing tools. I mean, this is an insane amount of catfishing. I'm not even looking at the same person when I compare a live stream to a photo of her. Which brings us to November 20th, 2024, where Pink Chu goes on an alternate account to make a post accusing someone of forcing her into oral sex, and everyone immediately assumed that she was talking about Tectone.
If you can believe it, Tectone actually is a piece of shit. His ex-girlfriend, Pinky Chu, she's come out to speak about his sexual assault against her. How do you know that she's referring to Tectone? Because it's on LSF and they're not following each other anymore.
She's referring to this live stream fails post from an anonymous account announcing that Pink Chu was referring to Tectone. I mean, there were also obvious context.
Yo, the OF trumpets are coming out here defending each other, bro. Yeah, well, the tribe is gonna stick together unless you cut into my revenue. Then it's, no holds barred.
Clues like saying they live together, and who posts something to a public forum if they believe that the audience isn't going to know who they're talking about. So let's be clear, everybody on the internet knew this was Tectone despite her not saying his name in the post. So obviously Tectone had to respond, and he did so at first by not specifically naming who he was talking about.
So if you're confused, you're going to stay confused, because this shit is not about content for me. Okay? I know the person who needs to hear this is going to hear this. And I mean this genuinely. I did everything for you. I helped you with everything. I fixed
saw this
everything.
video.
I was there for you like nobody else was there for you in your whole life. Your words, not mine.
Now, he does sound pretty mad here, which is why people such as Denims interpreted this as a definite confirmation that he was an abuser.
Your words, not mine.
Oh my god, he even talks like an abuser. Holy shit.
Very glad
Thank you.
Tectone is such a dumbass that he doesn't realize how bad this makes him look.
Oh yeah, the problem is that he has an inflated ego and he's stupid, which is like a horrible combination to have.
Well, that was the projection of the century. And though maybe that video out of context was a bad look for Tectone, trust me, as we go over the court transcript, not Mizkiv's transcript that his idiot friend wrote, I mean the actual court transcripts. So when we go over the real transcript, you're going to understand why Tectone was a little angry there. In fact, I think he was quite polite. That transcript is infuriating knowing that it was used to take someone's First and Second Amendment rights away for 10 years. Anyway, on November 22nd...
Bro. First Amendment right is freedom to speak on the situation, and the Second Amendment right is right to own firearms. Bro, that's crazy.
In 2024, 2 days after Pink Chu makes her allegations, Tectone confirms on Twitter that Pink Chu was talking about him. He says that she has 2 weeks to apologize and admit that her allegations were false, or he will sue her for what I imagine was defamation, citing that he will also pursue legal action against those who knowingly repeat her lies with reckless disregard for the truth. Tectone goes on to say that he's willing to work with law enforcement and is ready to prove his innocence. And then Keemstar comments with some words of wisdom at the end. Which brings us to Travis County in Texas.
Oh, what did Keemstar say? What did he say? Words of wisdom. I have no idea why all you streamers date these OF clout demons. You guys always get wrecked in the end, one way or another. Yo, my God. Yeah, he was probably too gooner brained. That's why he went with basically a digital whore.
Words of wisdom at the end. Which brings us to Travis County in Texas on January 23rd of 2026, and a hearing for a protective order filed by Linda Ashley Lamar, that's Pink Chu, against John Robertson, that's Tectone.
Tectone with his 5 lawyers.
Tectone and his 1 lawyer, that's 1 lawyer, Mizkiff. I don't know why you would lie about something that...
Okay, so Pink Chu, that's Michelle L. Law, something, and his 1 lawyer, Joffrey.
was so easy to disprove.
I'm smart. I'm not going live and saying things that are stupid. I'm not going live and being not strategic with my words and my actions. I'm being smart.
Right.
What you are going, Demon Time. More Pegasus out here spreading the Demon Time disease, bro.
Mizkiff sent a friend of his to go to court and take notes on the day of the hearing. Seems like the information wasn't very accurate. So Tectone's 1 lawyer is Joffrey Purrier, a guy with an enviable jawline, and Pink Chu's lawyer is Michelle Locke, an aspiring self-help influencer.
Life is a journey. Life has ups and downs.
Very insightful words of wisdom. Last, the case is being heard by Judge Dimple Malhotra. Just for clarification, this is a civil case. Conveniently, a lot of these types of allegations seem to be tried in civil courts, probably because the burden of proof there is much lower than in criminal courts.
I want you to understand something, chat, that the judge agreed with that. Now, the judge was not empowered to put him in prison directly because that was not a criminal case. Had it been a criminal case and had he been given a bench trial, he would have gone to prison as a rapist right there.
Yo, this dude right here is the dude that put out a bounties that said if a person was in a certain particular area, it's a quick way to make 100K right now. Hit me up. This right now, Mike from PA. Dang. And I'm telling you, he even had his own situations with women. Yeah, being a creep and ish. But being a creep is not against the law. But that's crazy, him out here beating his chest just because he doesn't like someone. Yeah.
God, these idiots are annoying. For those of you who don't know, Mike from PA is the guy who pretended to be a licensed attorney to run for the Pennsylvania legislature, but the state Supreme Court kicked him off the ballot after they found him misrepresenting himself. Now he's pretending to be an authority on the law on Twitch.
So he's fraud. Oh my gosh.
Spoilers, most of the law influencers get shit wrong all the time, and they aren't really that trustworthy. Anyway, in reality, there was a police investigation, but it didn't go anywhere, let alone prosecute. So Pink Chu claimed that she would put a pause on pressing criminal charges because she was afraid of Tectone retaliating, which I don't believe because he publicly said he would cooperate with the police. And also, if Pink Chu was actually afraid, she wouldn't have continued to attack Tectone legally. Personally, I think the only reason that a protective order was filed is because she wants to attack him, and there's no way in hell that she would have won a criminal case. Now, just so it's less confusing, and because there's no video of this hearing, as we go over the transcript, I'll put pictures on the side of who is talking. That being said, Pink Chu's lawyer starts her opening statement by blaming Pink Chu's lack of evidence to corroborate her story on the fact that she's autistic. Pink Chu's primary
What? On the fact that she's autistic. Oh my gosh. No. Her lawyer says that the lack of her evidence is because she's autistic. A lot of people have mental illnesses, so that has to be taken into account. And a lot of people have trauma, so that has to be taken into account.
Argument here is that as a person who was nearly 30 at the time, she didn't realize that she was being abused until someone else told her because she's very slightly autistic. What, did they take that argument from TikTok? So anyway, you know, there's like a mountain of evidence showing that this...
Until someone else told her. And that's the person that was with Tectone before, because they are disgruntled and didn't like how the relationship went. She's a bitter ex. She basically went into Pink Chu's ear and convinced her that she was essayed 1 year later after the situation, and now the dude is in a legal battle.
was all consensual. Well, just ignore that because Pink Chu changed her mind after the breakup and after Tectone got into a relationship with a different woman. What a convenient set of circumstances. That being said, let's go to the first allegation of assault. Pink Chu said that she had recently gotten breast implants, so this is a plastic surgery related allegation. Now, I'm going to redact some of this information to make it YouTube safe, but the page numbers are all there, so you can just look it up for yourself. Basically, the allegation was that Pink Chu could not perform because of her recent surgery, so Tectone found other non-consensual means, allegedly.
Much love to this queen. I mean, seriously, I'm sorry that you had to go through all of that, and then probably get traumatized altogether one more time in the court.
Yo, this dude right here, this dude LARPing as if he cares about women. This dude literally supports a group of terrorists that burn women in a cage after raping them because they won't convert to their religion. I know of this dude. I know of him, and this dude is one of the most hated figures on the internet. Well, not in his echo chamber though. But I'm telling you, he doesn't like Tectone, so has a vested interest in siding with his accuser in this situation.
Process, but at least now you have a moment of respite.
To further elaborate on the context here, Pink Chu testifies that she had been living with Tectone in exchange for sexual favors. Personally, I don't believe this version of the story at all. After reading through the transcript, it is very clear to me that they were living together because they were in a relationship. For reference, Pink Chu and Tectone's relationship started in December of 2022, and they broke up around June or July of 2024. About a month later, in July or August, Tectone meets his now fiancée, Sophia, and a few months later, in November, Pink Chu accuses Tectone of sexual assault. Which brings us to the second allegation. Again, pictures are here to indicate who is in the conversation. If you see a Q, though, that means a lawyer is talking, and if you see an A, that's going to be either Tectone or Pink Chu talking. Anyway, Pink Chu said that she had just gotten lip filler, and Tectone had forced her into oral sex, which had ruined the lip filler. Geez, another plastic surgery-related incident? Do all of her allegations have some sort of plastic surgery involved? Now, is there any corroborating evidence that this happened? Not really. There may have been a doctor's appointment where she had to get the lip filler fixed. However, that doesn't prove anything because she could have just as easily screwed out the filler through regular consensual activity or something else entirely. But these are pretty much the allegations of assault. Now, when I say that Pink Chu had no evidence of this stuff occurring, understand that her own testimony counts as evidence from a legal standpoint. So allow me to clarify what I mean. I'm saying she had no additional evidence to verify the truth of her story.
So, no additional evidence other than her own testimony. I got you. And the judge still awarded, This kind of makes sense when he says that he didn't explain himself properly in his video addressing the situation when he said it was all on vibes, but it's kind of looking like that, but we're not far enough in the video yet. So yeah, I still reserve, I still remain neutral on the situation. And honestly, if he is tried criminally and is guilty and sentenced, I would say that he's a deplorable human being and he deserves to get whatever he got. But we hearing that the judge is biased.
Let me point out just how ridiculous this is. Tectone is a guy who is constantly on camera.
There's like a good 8 to 10 people who have already said, he didn't do it. We know he didn't do it. We were there when they said it happened. That never happened. They say there's a third girl. They don't exist. They don't realize that the entirety of, a large portion of my house is fucking filmed on the inside of security cameras on the inside. That's how fucking paranoid I am.
This is a guy who streams for multiple hours a day, plus the couple of streams that he did with Pink Chu. You're going to tell me that you have no footage, no audio recordings, and no text that make him look abusive or make him look like a stalker? You also have no testimony from other witnesses saying that Tectone was abusing you? This is despite the fact that there were 2 roommates living with him the entire time. So either Tectone is this master.
So these 2 roommates weren't able to show up at the court for either side to show that, to either bolster Tectone's argument or to bolster Pinky Chu's argument. That seems kind of suspicious, but probably they declined and didn't want to be involved in any way, and they have a right to accept or decline. I'm not sure if the court would have forced them to make an appearance if it was a criminal case, maybe.
Manipulator who can get away with all of this without a trace, which is a weird thing to argue because his opposition is constantly calling him stupid.
When he's literally I don't know how anyone fucking ever listened to this guy.
He's dumb as f. I honestly think he needs to be arrested just so he can experience what that is like, so he shuts the f up and goes away.
I genuinely don't understand how someone could be so fucking stupid to think that this is a good response.
So either he is this master manipulator who can fool anyone, or none of this shit happened.
So he is dumb, or he's a master manipulator. They're contradicting themselves. Yeah, just because they hate him.
My opinion. On that note, Pink Chu's lawyer has finished questioning her client, so let's go to cross-examination from Tectone's lawyer, Joffrey. Before we get into this, though, it requires some backstory. For those of you who didn't know, Tectone was previously married for like 10 years to a woman whose name is Jessica. They divorced a while back. Now, to me, the details here are kind of murky because an NDA was signed, and I only really have the court transcript to piece together what was going on. But remember how I said that Tectone has cameras everywhere? Well, it turns out that his ex-wife still had remote access to the cameras after the divorce, and allegedly, she was using some intimate footage between Tectone and Pink Chu to blackmail them. And how this didn't land his ex-wife in jail is beyond me. And
how? This is okay. You see, I know that Tectone wants to move forward in life and not go back into any of these legal dealings or any of these situations. But dude, you need to fight for your rights, and you need to go hard, go heavy on these situations, cause her using that information to blackmail you that she illegally obtained, that right there, she should have gotten in trouble for that. And you not pursuing legal action in that situation is a major drop of the ball, a major fumble. And I've heard people saying that the reason why he NDA'd his ex-wife is because he did something that is criminal in the relationship, and he's using an NDA to silence her. Under the Constitution, from what I know, it's illegal to, you can't even use an NDA to cover up a crime. So if it was a crime, the NDA would be void, null and void.
anyway, a lawsuit was filed, and a part of this lawsuit included Pink Chu suing Tectone's ex-wife because she called her Tectone's sex slave. Let me repeat this. Pink Chu sued his ex-wife because she accused her of being victimized by Tectone. Pink Chu said it was defamatory to call her an abuse victim. Not only that, but this lawsuit occurs 1 month after her alleged incidents of abuse, and she says these claims about her from Tectone's ex-wife were disgusting lies. What a weird thing to say, right? So that's our first counter to Pink Chu.
And a lot of people, jumped the gun after they heard that he lost and the transcripts didn't come out. Now that the transcripts are out of what took place in that civil hearing, it boggles the mind how he lost whenever she actually is saying that she wasn't an abuse victim. She wasn't his quote unquote ex-slave, and she even sued the ex-wife for calling her that because she didn't think of herself like that.
Story, and just right there, throw the case out. You mean to tell me that someone called her an abuse victim and she spent money suing them to say, no, I'm not? The second part of this is that Pink Chu went to a mental hospital in July of 2024, around 1 to 2 months after the alleged victimizations. When she's being questioned by her lawyer, she states that she went to the hospital because she just had to get out of the house. And if your first thought was, that makes no sense, then I would agree with you. This sounds like a lie. Now, I'm not a fan of Illumation, but I do think she has a very insightful video on mental hospitals. People don't go to mental hospitals just because they wanted to get out of the house. They go because they're either a danger to others or they're afraid of harming themselves.
Facilities like this save lives every day. There are 2 types of admission. The first is voluntary, which is where you go to the emergency room and say, hi, I don't feel safe. Can you please help me? And the second is involuntary, which is where your doctor or psychiatrist feels you're at grave risk to yourself or others. So they write you a note and send you to the hospital.
So it's a weird downplay from Pink Chu to say that she just needed to get out of the house. If she wanted to do that, she could have just checked herself into a hotel or something.
Yes.
Note that Pink Chu has more than enough money to do this. Also note that this admission into a mental hospital seems to have happened directly after Tectone broke up with her, so I'm guessing that the breakup caused thoughts of self-harm. Actually, it looks like the redactions here suggest something a little bit worse than self-harm. So honestly, I think checking herself into the mental hospital was a psychologically healthy thing to do. However, the issue with this hospital visit is that it works as evidence against her story of abuse. Let me start by saying that when she's being questioned by her lawyer, Pink Chu said that after she got back from Austin Oaks, the mental hospital, she moved in with her mom, but as she was getting her stuff from Tectone's house, she told a roommate of his about how afraid she was of Tectone. Now, anytime you go to the hospital or see a doctor, they're going to ask you, why are you here? Surely if Tectone was so abusive that she just had to get out of the house, and she had to tell his roommate how afraid she was, she would have also told the doctors, well, you see, I have this really abusive ex-boyfriend. But she didn't do that. In fact, the doctors specifically asked her if she had been a victim of abuse. Pink Chu says yes, but she doesn't mention Tectone. She mentions a prior non-Tectone relationship, and that's it.
And you see how these people... Let's continue, because right now, it's pushing me more and more to Tectone's side, but as I said, with all of this, if he was to be tried criminally, with all of this situation and he gets convicted in that situation with all of this, I would say that the system has it out for men, because this situation right here, I know that civil cases al- almost always go to the women in question because they've been weaponized against men for years in America. Because by default, more than likely it will go to the woman, which is the accuser.
In mind that the time period where she is alleging the abuse happened was 1 or 2 months before she goes to the mental hospital in July. Also keep in mind that Pink Chu testified that she told Tectone's roommate 3 or so days after this questioning from the mental hospital, or around the same time, that she was afraid of Tectone, noting that his roommate did not come in to testify on her behalf. She can't even get that corroborated. So I don't see how this can be considered as anything other than crucial evidence that Pink Chu is making all of these allegations up.
If the roommate didn't come in to testify on her behalf, Tectone should have gotten the roommate to testify on his behalf. Because maybe because he was being stupid and thought that he had the case in the bag, but he probably didn't realize that he had an activist judge which is biased, and we gonna get to that. And the lawyer that is representing Pink Chu is also an activist, woke, and yo, she said some things in the transcript that wasn't pertaining to the case. Talking about that, it was a section where she brought up a tweet that Tectone made about that white people can experience racism also, which is a fact. If someone is basically prejudiced and attacking you because of immutable characteristics, basically like your skin color, they are racist. It wasn't your choice that you were born at the color or the race that you were born, but because they associate white people with slavery, they say that it's okay to be racist to white people, or they say that you can't be racist to white people. But this is all a lie, and everyone can experience white racism.
Now, her argument for why she didn't report to the mental hospital that she had been assaulted by Tectone is because she just didn't see it that way at the time. But again, immediately after she gets out of the hospital to collect her stuff, she tells Tectone's roommate about how scared she is. Conveniently, this change of story happens in a place where it couldn't be documented as evidence. Because, you know, if you were an abuse victim who was fleeing your house because you're afraid of your ex-boyfriend, certainly you would want to tell medical staff later so it could be used as evidence in a police investigation.
Yeah.
This is why I don't believe anything that Pink Chu says. There are tons of holes in her story and really nothing to defend her outside of taking her word for it. But that's not all. Before Pink Chu goes to the mental hospital, there are text messages between her and Tectone, where Tectone, or John, says, "Text me when you're on your way, and please be safe." And then she tells him what hospital she's going to be at. He also says, "If you need me, just text me. I'm sorry you're going through this." So when
and you see that sounds like, that doesn't sound like an abuser. That sounds like someone who is concerned about her well-being. But yeah.
read stuff like that, I think, wow, there was so much documented evidence of Tectone being supportive, but when it comes to him being abusive, you just have to take people's word for it.
Exactly.
This is like no case of abuse that I've ever seen.
It's just saying, yo, trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. Yeah. Just listen to what I'm saying, and don't ask me for any evidence. Just take my word at face value. And whenever it comes to crimes, you should not do that with anyone innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, that's the situation. And people are gonna talk about that innocent until proven guilty. In a civil case, they're gonna say that he was proven guilty in a civil case. But a civil case doesn't mean nothing. It just it means that the judge just picked a side, and more than likely it's the woman, and take away your right and sets up a restraining order, or not necessarily a restraining order, an order to not be within a certain distance of this person.
Abusive people usually leave evidence everywhere because they can't help themselves. We're not done yet. Pink Chu and Tectone's lawyer Joffrey discuss her leaving the mental hospital, and there's this part where Joffrey says, in fact, I believe he's listed, and the rest is blacked out. Judging by the context clues, I'm guessing that he's saying that Tectone was listed as an emergency contact, considering that Tectone said stuff like, if you need anything, let me know, and Pink Chu told him what hospital she was going to be at. So again, extremely weird behavior here, especially considering that Pink Chu communicates that her mom lives somewhere in the area, so why is she using her alleged abuser that she's afraid of as a contact instead of her mom? Moving on,
Exactly.
let's talk about why a protection order was granted. In Texas, in order to get a protection order, the standard of proof is reasonable to believe. This is kind of a major issue for
Finds there are grounds. There finds there are reasonable grounds to believe. So it's not. So once you tell the story, if the if the judge says, yeah, I can believe that, and looks at the person and see how big he is, look at her and see how small she is, and if he's talking in a very confident or what could be perceived as threatening manner, not seeming remorseful or seeming like he's like he's meek, the judge would say, yeah, I can see something like that happen, and then grants the protective order.
me when it comes to family court, and I think the law around this needs to be modified to prevent abuse.
Yes, family court is where it's being abused many times. It's used to separate fathers from their children by vindictive baby mothers, mainly. And that's how it's been weaponized for ages, and no one has tried to make a change to this before. I've seen so many situations. I've heard, I've watched videos of so many creators covering stuff like this on the internet. So that's why I at least have some idea of how these protective orders go.
Abuse, especially in cases like Tectone's, where there is tons of counter evidence to his accuser's story. Reasonable to believe is a very low standard. It's like saying if one person thinks, yeah, that could have happened, that's enough to grant an order in Texas. This standard is even lower than the more likely than not to have happened standard, which is what we're all used to hearing about in civil court cases.
This is in Texas. I want to say this again. This is not California. This is not New York. This is not Illinois. This is not Massachusetts. This is Texas.
He's implying that it's impossible to get an order of protection in Texas when actually it seems to be fairly easy. Here's Michelle Locke, Pink Shoe's lawyer, on her podcast, saying that the standard of proof in these kinds of courts is very low.
When it comes to marriage and there are abusive instances, how important is it for someone to have that documented?
Your testimony alone can be enough.
Oh my gosh, like from the horse's mouth, bro. From her own mouth on her own podcast. Yo, it's great that everyone has a podcast these days that you can use their own words against them because they yo, that's crazy. This is one of the reasons why some men do not want to be in situations where they can be accused by a woman because the justice system is biased against them. It was normally set up to be like that because women were seen as the inferior sex, the more weak and deserving of protection sex. But now they've realized that they can weaponize these benefits that's in the legal system to weaponize against men.
People think, well, really? I don't have to have pictures of bruises? I mean, while those things would be great and helpful, it's not a requirement because judges every day make decisions based on the credibility of witnesses. And that's the bottom line. And so the court's going to look at what you say, what he or she says, and then make the call on whether it's a believable story.
Let me remind you that Mike from PA is not a lawyer. He's an idiot propagandist who really seems to have his own boundary issues with women. Just because guns are more legal in Texas doesn't mean that this state always favors the right. A lot of bullshit occurs in Texas too. Also, this legal battle between Pink Chew and Tectone occurred in Travis County, which is where Austin is. Austin is like the California of Texas. But anyway, Pink Chew still has to prove that there is some sort of reason to believe that Tectone will be a danger to her. Before we go into this next section, I would like to point out that neither Michelle Locke or the judge really have a grasp over how social media works. Pink Chew's lawyer Michelle said in the transcripts that she doesn't really understand social media, and in this video that I found of the judge, she openly states that she doesn't really have an interest in being online.
And so, for me, I didn't even have social media, by the way, until I knew that I had to run.
Okay, so this is very important because essentially all of Pink Chew's evidence for why she needs an order of protection and why Tectone is an ongoing threat is because of his social media posts. And if you as a judge don't understand social media, you're going to miss a ton of nuance. It's actually to the point where this court decision is quite scary and possibly a strong violation of the First Amendment. Personally, I think Pink Chew has taken advantage of the judge's lack of knowledge of social media and using that to lie. To talk about that, let's go to Exhibit 16.
And this is why I feel like Tectone should really try to appeal this and then go after some people criminally, bro, or for defamation.
I think. This post from Tectone is still live, so I'll just show the actual tweets. It says, another OnlyFans woman lying about rape then just moves on. No damage done to them. Ruin a man's life for 3 years. Why is this so common? This is from October 21st of 2020.
It's common because of the Me Too situation. Like, yo, when the women come out with allegations, yes, you should believe them, but then find proof. Don't just go destroying people's lives because one wrong sexual allegation against a man that has built themselves from nothing can destroy everything and leave them hanging from a rope, bro.
25, nearly a year after Tectone was accused, and he's signal boosting a post talking about a friend of his from OTK, who I guess was falsely accused. I don't know that situation too well, but that's what's being talked about. Pinkchu says that she believes that the tweet was about her, and then she says that Tectone makes posts like this to try to get his fans to attack her because she does OnlyFans, which is retarded because if you look at the comments on the tweet, you can see that people aren't talking about Pinkchu. You can't even find her name by doing a text search on the page. In fact, you can't see this in the court transcript, but since this tweet is still live, we know who Tectone is referring to in this tweet because he's quote tweeted a post talking about Azalea Lexi. So how in the hell is this comment about Pinkchu? By the way, this is
that it's not about Pinkchu, but she used that. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! She's lying. Yeah, she's lying. She's lying. She knew it wasn't about her because it was quoted about a different content OF creator, and used it because in court because the judge didn't know the nuance of social media.
in stark difference to her allegation post, where the top comment essentially is saying, hey, you're talking about Tectone, right? The irony here is that Pinkchu herself made the argument in court that people wouldn't know who she's talking about because Tectone's name wasn't mentioned in her tweet. But if you know anything about the internet, the minute you start vague posting like this, tons of people in the comments are going to start asking, oh my god, who is she talking about? Which will prompt all the know-it-alls to try to be the first person to say that it's Tectone. In fact, here's me doing this with the false allegations against Turkey Tom. You can see that I don't mention Tom in the post. People are asking who I'm talking about, and if you scroll through the comments, you can see several people explaining.
Imagine you get falsely accused, then you get to defend yourself by showing a bunch of texts from your ex talking about how you're. Yep.
The reference. This is not like a secret behavior that people have. Anytime some sort of inside joke or a test question is posted on social media, tons of people go to the comment section looking for the person who will explain everything. So in my opinion, Pinkchu left Tectone's name out of this post to prevent a defamation lawsuit, but left in enough clues for people to easily figure out who she was talking about, so her followers would say who it was for her. If she only wanted her friends to know about these allegations like she said in court, she wouldn't have posted it on social media. Anyway, back to Tectone. Here's where it gets scary. Remember that
the internet is where you go to destroy people's career and destroy their reputation. So that's the first thing they do. Any one of these women that have any following or any form of any little bit of clout, once the person that they're accusing has a huge following, well known and hated by also people on the internet, the first thing they're gonna do is choose to post it on the internet so that they can destroy his career however much they possibly can.
The order of protection was granted, meaning that Tectone is not allowed to talk about Pinkchu. Her evidence that this tweet was about her was purely on the basis of Tectone bringing up OnlyFans, and because she does OnlyFans. She actually makes this argument several times. Here's another one, Exhibit 20. This tweet is also still live, so I'll just bring it up. He's asking for OnlyFans models to stop giving life advice because you can see them naked for less than a Fortnite battle pass.
Where's her dignity? Oh, I don't know. I heard she's selling it for $5.
This is another post where if you scroll—
Oh my gosh, that was an Asmongo clip about denims, and that's literally the truth. They're out here giving life advice, and you can buy their dignity and see them in all their glory for $5 US. That's how much you put. That's the value that you put on yourself.
Down, you can see that nobody is talking about
have
Pinkchu.
an easy life.
Yet she is suggesting that these posts are targeted at her and designed to train Tectone's audience into hating her. Now, if you were a judge who doesn't use social media that much, you would think, oh, well, that makes sense. Obviously, he's only mentioning OnlyFans because Pinkchu does OnlyFans. Why would anybody else talk about that? Except talking about OnlyFans girls is an entire meta of content creation that has existed for years.
Exactly.
And I don't know, maybe it has something to do with people like Morgpie trying to bend Twitch's rules so she can show her boobs to 13-year-olds and try to get them addicted to pornography. Maybe some of these women deserve to be criticized, so citing these posts as threats and possibly suggesting that Tectone can never talk about OnlyFans because of the order of protection, I think is a massive violation of the First Amendment. Second, in the same way that she cites these posts about OF, she also cites Tectone talking about illegal aliens as a threat towards her, saying, well, I'm half Mexican, so I'm almost a minority, and that means he's
almost. Yo, you are a citizen of the United States. You LARPing as an illegal immigrant to get sympathy from an activist woke judge.
victimizing me with these posts. If this type of post counts as talking about Pinkchu, then Tectone, as a social media influencer, can't talk about the most pressing issues of the past year because his ex-girlfriend is half Mexican? This is very stupid. She continues, and I think this is the most ridiculous part, and I think it's where she takes the most advantage of the judge's ignorance of social media. She says that Tectone makes call-out videos on certain influencers. These kinds of videos, by the way, are extremely common on YouTube. I mean, this reads like she's suggesting that YouTube drama should be illegal.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is one of these videos that we watching. The entire series that More Pegasus is doing is call outs on stupid people on the internet. Mostly Hassan, because he makes himself so easy to call out because he constantly does stupid stuff. But dang.
He says here that if a protective order isn't granted, then he will continue relentlessly harassing and threatening her to the point where her life will be in danger. This is absolutely ridiculous. Over the past handful of days, Tectone and Miskiff have made like 18 videos on each other. By her logic, you would think that both of them would have been dead 10 times over by now. Keep in mind that between the breakup in July and the time that Pinkchu made her allegations on November 20th, 2024, I can't find a single instance where Pinkchu's name is mentioned by Tectone, and she certainly doesn't provide any mentions outside of his post on November 22nd. And keep the context here in mind. Tectone and Pinkchu break up. Tectone is silent about Pinkchu until she accuses him of assault. Then Tectone makes a post saying, I'm going to sue you if you don't apologize. In this context, he's just defending himself. Like he is being legally punished here for defending himself against allegations that had no corroborating evidence.
I think this is the...
You see, the thing is, he shouldn't have only threatened the suit. He should have went ahead and did it first. Because she jumped the gun and basically beat him to the punch of putting forth a suit to the court. He is on the defending side.
Main reason why Tectone has become so extreme. And whenever you think about it, really calling somebody a rapist is one of like the top 3 things that you can say to somebody that is career destroying, career ending, or damaging.
Right.
And Hassan is out here calling the dude grape tone and all of that. Denim's calling him that. Mike from PA calling him that. A lot of people that are left or center left or far left are calling him that are content creators. Whenever let's continue.
Career-ending allegation, and during the court case, Tectone said that he was dropped from his partnership with OTK almost immediately after Pinkchu's allegations. By the way, if you're thinking she must be the innocent party because she filed for the protective order, note that protective orders get abused actually.
So that's the reason why he left the OTK? He was talking about, he said that his contract was up with them. And yeah. Oh my gosh. So that was a contributor to the contract being annulled or something? Maybe.
Quite a lot. In fact, if you watched my video on Alexa Nicholas, who was falsely accused of leaking sealed court documents by a good friend of Taylor Lorenz, you would know that she mentioned that she had a stalker who was harassing her and her family. That stalker filed a restraining order against her. So yes, these orders can be weaponized. And speaking of that, here's the fun part.
The stalker filed a restraining order against the person that was saying that they had a stalker. So they filed a restraining order against the person that they were stalking. That's how these protective orders can be weaponized against people.
I think this was all a coordinated effort against Tectone from multiple streamers. Let's move on to another stupid argument that Pinkchu makes that you would only think is valid if you didn't understand social media. On page 144, Pinkchu says that Tectone destroyed her streaming career when he made his post on November 22nd. Now, personally, I don't know the validity of her claim. She provides no evidence of this outside of saying that's what happened, and she could have just as easily nuked her own Twitch channel to hide evidence that Tectone wasn't actually abusive, since they did a lot of streams together. But nonetheless, she's suggesting that her online career was over and her life was ruined, which is stupid because her primary income is Fansly and OnlyFans. It's stupid because hating on OnlyFans creators only makes them more popular. Everyone who is good at social media knows that. That's why OF chicks go on podcasts like Whatever or Fresh and Fit and say dumb stuff. It's to promote their content.
When you got kicked off of Fresh and Fit the first time, how
OF lawyer Jasmine Jafar. That's crazy. How can you be an OF lawyer? Dang.
How much money did you make, girl, afterwards? Like, how many?
Fresh and Fit, there's no one that does more for OnlyFans women than Fresh and Fit. You have helped sex workers more than anybody, I think, in the world. You have given us the world.
You see
Every time I
how
come on
she
your show,
looks?
my money goes way up.
A girl like that, looking like that, can make bank off of OF if they just go, yo, let's see. Let's say a fairly not known creator goes on a whatever podcast or Fresh and Fit. Fresh and Fit is gonna make them known, or whatever is gonna make them known. And because their ads or their handles, their social media handles are posted in their descriptions, people will go to it and consume the content. And that's a failure failure of men, bro. Failure of men that are so down bad and lonely, don't even have the courage to go out there and talk to women. They contribute to this cycle of these whores just making money, bro. And I'm saying whore because that's what they're doing. They whoring themselves out on a camera. And they sell you selling yourself, objectifying yourself.
And then he kicked me off, and then he invited me back on. So
the only bad press that you can get for OnlyFans is being unattractive. People don't care about the morality of a porn star. It's actually kind of a problem because you can inadvertently make the thing more popular by criticizing it. So Pink Chew suggesting that her life was over after a single tweet from Tectone, where, keep in mind, he was defending himself against allegations with no corroborating evidence. It's his right to do that. So Pink Chew suggesting that her life was over after that tweet couldn't be further from the truth. She's now more popular than ever and has more social media followers than Tectone between Instagram and TikTok. In fact,
yo, that's crazy though. That's crazy. Oh my gosh, she got more more of a following than Tectone because of the entire drama, all because of some Photoshop and some makeup.
Don't take my word for it. Take it from
and because a lot of people is horny. That's crazy.
Mujin, who said on Twitter, "Let it be known that from this point onward, anyone still caught defending Tectone is purposefully ignoring facts for what is most likely a desperate and pathetic attempt at gaining favor or clout." I mean, maybe, though I'm not sure what facts he was talking about. Note that he said this before the transcript was made available, so real smart of him to not wait until the evidence was public. However, you can see that he is very much on Pink Chew's side, and more importantly, you can see him stating here that she makes significantly...
And don't get it twisted, Mujin doesn't like Tectone. He doesn't like it.
...more money than Tectone. Weird, because
of
like
the
that
gotcha
makes her look
space,
like she's the one who actually has more power, and thus makes her look like the aggressor. But here's the part where things get interesting. Again, you would have to understand social media to recognize this stuff. On this page, page 144, Pink Chew mentions a girl named Morgan, and then she says that she went to Los Angeles to do collabs. I think it was a mistake to say this because Morgan is almost certainly Morg Pie, a person who Pink Chew has done numerous collabs with.
Not me. That's funny because I picked that card in a different group.
And look here, this is not the Pink Chew that we see on the Instagram or nothing like that. She looks totally different, bro. And this is Morg Pie right here. This is probably, I don't know who these people are.
With me, but I'm a big one.
Again, she's done a number of collabs with Morg Pie, like this one here at the gym. God, she must edit her photos.
You see that right there. She got a slimmer face. Yeah, nothing is wrong with a wide face, girl. But you don't need to make it like this slimmed up to make it appealing. But you basically see that and say that, and you're self-conscious about it. So why you have to do this catfishing?
A lot. I'm not even looking at the same person when she's on video and in a place where she can't cake on makeup.
Dang.
Anyway, there's tons of video evidence of them interacting with each other and tons of tweets and stuff, so this person, Morgan, is almost certainly Morg Pie. Why is that interesting? Well, it's interesting because one of the things that Morg Pie is famous for is helping signal boost false allegations against the YouTubers who run a channel called Super Mega. Turkey Tom made a huge video on it.
Super Mega is a comedy gaming channel with almost 1 million subscribers, run by Matt Watson and Ryan McGee. Over the past 2 years, the channel has found itself mired in endless controversy. However, none would prove as devastating as those levied in July of 2023. That month, a cosplayer named Alex accused Super Mega's channel artist, Don, of SA. Matt and Ryan were named for mishandling the situation. This sparked enough backlash for a whole new wave of accusations to surface from former friends and employees. Alex's outright lies in her own video poisoned the well, and if her initial story about Don was true, it is severely discredited by the various falsehoods she spread. These falsehoods were supported by her boyfriend, Ethan is online, their friend, Nick is not green, their other friend, Leighton Stollard, Morg Pie, and even Rav. All of the—
Oh my gosh, all big, if they're not big content creators, they have somewhat of a following. All of them to signal boost false allegations and lies and to destroy these people's careers, bro.
These people spread provable lies to smear Super Mega as a brand.
Super Mega was a popular variety channel that had a podcast, and this was quite the Turkey Tom video. It's kind of like an epic set of false allegations, but
and they can barely get 20K views in 24K views on a 1 million subscriber channel, bro.
where Morgue Pie plays a role is that she had a crush on one of the owners named Matt. Matt didn't want to pursue a relationship, but they hooked up twice, and then I think Matt chose a different girl over her.
Honestly, I cried for a month.
All because, yo, do not hook up with, yo, you looking for problems, you looking for a destroyed. They brought this on themselves for dealing with if you out here selling yourself for $5 or $10, whichever it may be, on the internet for an easy ride in life, bro. You should not be associating yourself with people like those for a relationship or even some quick fling, because it can backfire so heavily on you. And you, girl, you know why he didn't choose you, because you're of the job you do. It's not gonna look good on him. It's not gonna represent him as a man, in a good way, because it's basically gonna tarnish his image if he is seen with you.
Over that guy. I was like, give me one of your shirts. You know what I mean? So I posted a picture of me wearing the shirt I took of his onto my personal Twitter, not like my big one, but my other one. And he texted me after ghosting me, after I asked him if he wanted to hang out again that night. He didn't respond to me asking if he wanted to hang out again. He responded with a screenshot of the post and was like, hey, can you take this down? Like, people have seen me in that shirt. Like, they know that shirt. Can you just take down this post?
Did you hear the part where she said she made the post on a second account? Kind of like similar to what Pink Chew did. What an odd coincidence. To quickly sum things up, Morgue Pie became friends with a disgruntled ex-Super Mega employee named Leighton, whose goal was to do whatever he could to ruin their career. Morgue Pie's purpose was to basically signal boost and give validity to all of the proven...
So, a disgruntled employee, so she went to a known person that has gripes with Super Mega to further damage their reputation. Yo, people would be getting sued, bro, but if I had the capital and the platform, I would be suing them into the ground for all they got.
Probably false things that Leighton was saying about Super Mega during this time.
Because right here, you have to prove damages, and Super Mega as a brand has gone under irreparable damage because they're not, their channel is struggling right now with 1 million subscribers. That's crazy.
She also doxes the ex-girlfriend and current girlfriend of one of the owners, and it seems like the doxing was intentional to get back at him for picking another girl over her. Again, these are very familiar circumstances.
So I was just talking about personal details being unnecessarily mentioned and weaponized to make me look worse. And unfortunately, more people have jumped on that bandwagon. One of those people being Morgan, aka Morgue Pie. Morgan not only brought my current girlfriend into the situation on stream without her consent, she also name dropped my girlfriend and revealed that we were in a relationship, which was not public information. I'm very private about my relationships, so this was a big blow. Morgan also brought my ex-girlfriend into the picture without her consent and has strongly hurt her because of this. She lied about conversations with my ex-girlfriend. She wrongly stated that I had been having a multiple-month affair with my current girlfriend while I was dating my ex-girlfriend. She also lied about not knowing who my current girlfriend was, because she did know who that was and she used it as a segue to name drop her. She also falsely claims that I was cheating on my current girlfriend, which is not true. They are both being harassed viciously and their personal lives are being used as weapons to make me look worse, and I think that's completely unacceptable.
And by the way, even though the allegations were false, they still succeeded. Super Mega took a huge hit and it really hasn't been the same since, even after Super Mega was exonerated in the eyes of the public. So if you're wondering why people do these tactics and coordinate these ops on Discord and stuff, it's because they work. So where am I going with all this? Well, Pink Chew's official story is that she thought her relationship with Tectone was all consensual until after the breakup and after she confided in a friend who told her that actually she was being abused. And yes, this sounds very much like I consented to sex and then changed my mind later.
Exactly. And we've seen that play out like multiple times. On the internet, there are countless stories, there are countless videos of people recounting the situation. And if you guys don't remember, a couple of years back, like, a group of football players got accused of SA from a girl that was at a frat party. It's a good thing they were recording, because their college kicked them out because of the allegations. They didn't even wait until proof came out. their reputation was being ruined in the media, like it was on the news, and it was all because the girl was unfaithful. To put it lightly, because I could use a more harsh word, but that's not what I'm trying to do right here. She was unfaithful because she had a boyfriend. She went to a frat party, got used, and in the video, she wanted to be used. Like say, are you guys being cowards? She used the P word instead of that. Yeah, but are you guys cowards or what? Get in here and do these things with her. Their reputation got damaged. They lost their opportunity to play professionally. I'm not sure if they got them back, but that was a situation, an actual legal situation where they were facing jail time. If they weren't recording in that party, they would have been in jail right now because of false allegation from a unfaithful girlfriend that was afraid, that was regretting what she consented to the night previously, and all because she had a boyfriend, and she didn't want her boyfriend to know that she was cheating on him. I don't remember the names of the people involved, but I do remember that case clearly. And this is another example of something similar. Yeah. You cannot rescind the consent after the fact. And this is the entire premise on what is happening right here. So the friend that Think Before You Sleep is saying that might be the one that did it. I thought it was Tectone's ex-wife, but it might be Morpie that got in her ear and basically convinced her that she was essayed a year ago when she consented to the act.
It's like 2015 college feminist behavior. Anyway, my personal opinion is that the friend who Pink Chu talked to was Morgpie, which is why her name randomly slips in the transcript. And I think the actual reason that Pink Chu is doing all of this is because she's mad that Tectone broke up with her, and she's mad that he is with someone else after she clearly was still into him when the relationship ended, based on texts that were shown in court. And what I mean is that on page 113, after the breakup, before she goes into the mental hospital, she's talking about how much she loves him and says, "I'm sorry if I ever hurt you. I'm going to get a full psych evaluation and get some real help." So I've read certain parts of this transcript a lot of times, particularly this part, and here it sounds like the actual story is that she was having regular psychological breakdowns. He got tired of putting up with it, so her going to the mental hospital was like, "No, wait, I swear I'll change." I would also guess that she was threatening self-harm if he broke up with her, which is why she's saying, "I'm sorry if I ever hurt you," which again makes her look like the abuser because threatening self-harm is emotional blackmail.
Exactly.
Honestly, this visit to the mental hospital looks like some sort of bargain to get him back after the breakup.
I'm telling you, the more and more I see this, I see more information is Tectone, you literally need to go to have this appealed. It's probably gonna go to the same judge because it's more unlikely that it goes to a different judge. But this needs to be thrown out in a criminal court because the amount of hate and slander that the dude is getting is not deserved when all of this is out here where people can find all this information and the transcripts are public.
And I think the actual reason that Pink Chu acted out on social media is because she's pissed off that Tectone moved on to somebody else. Based on the information that I've shown, I don't think this is that much of a stretch.
And I feel like that's the reason why Tectone probably won't try it again, is because he wants to move on with his new girlfriend, now fiance, because she is probably the only peace and the chance at happiness that he has right now. So I understand that, but I wouldn't want people to be continue to dragging my name on the internet like that if I knew that what I didn't do anything wrong and it can be proved in the court of law. And if anyone continues to spread that or say that, I will be serving them papers for defamation and slander.
Now, pay attention to who Pink Chu's friend Morgpie is friends with. Would it shock you if I said that Hassan Piker is a friend of hers? I don't know how every bad thing on social media always relates back to this social circle, but it seems to be the case. Why is that important? Well, Hassan Piker has this ongoing war with Asmongold, probably because he's mad that Asmon is more famous than him. Hassan likes to sit back and have his little lackeys do all the dirty work for him. This is a famous tactic of his, and he primarily works by not directly saying that he has certain values, but he will signal boost all the people who have the values that he wants to promote by watching their content on his stream.
Exactly. and he constantly called the dude grape tone, and saying that he More Pegasus is a PDF supporter, and yeah, calls Nux PDF and all of that stuff. All the people that don't like him are he considered his ops. He wastes no time in slandering them. But, bruh, this is all way too serious, because it actually deals with legal situations in real life that can affect people for the rest of their lives.
That being said, Tectone is friends with Asmongold. Hassan wants to attack Asmongold in any way that he can, so I think his lackeys came up with a plot to destroy Tectone. They do this a lot. Recently, Girl Hassan and promoter of incest, aka Denims, randomly attacked Emiru for being friends with Asmongold and for not talking about her politics, which was stupid and pointless.
Racist chud. Ember is friends with Asmongold, Lakari, Tectone, plus she thinks Ethan Klein's lawsuits are justified.
Asmongold's a bad person. Tectone is a bad person.
But going back to...
You hear that? He had to think before you sleep, had to put out that when he said, yeah.
Tectone, seeing that Morgpie has already been involved in conspiracy behavior against Super Mega, I don't think it's that unreasonable to say that this tactic is being repeated a lot. Ethan Klein being yet another example of a person who Hassan's social circle has conspired against. So basically, the lackeys create the noise, and then Hassan does stuff like signal boost false information about Tectone that was said by Miskiff.
Apparently, Miskiff sent like a court reporter to the court to take notes in this process. Then he brought Hassanabi saying like how when he shocked his dog. So apparently,
that's the notes that Miskiff's inside guy, if you could call him that, wrote down. And that's crazy.
He did a right-wing pivot, and he thought that but Hassanabi bad would work in a court of law. This is why I always say nobody grifts to the left.
Sorry, that last line wasn't super relevant, but it was so stupid that I had to include it. If you read the court transcript, it was actually Pink Chu's lawyer who brings up that Hassan abuses animals, not Tectone. And the reason it was brought up was because of a retarded counter-argument that Pink Chu's lawyer made about the allegations against Tectone having no effect on how much hate he gets, because he brings up things like Hassan shocking his dog. It was such a stupid part of the transcript because Pink Chu's lawyer is arguing that Pink's pretty direct allegations against Tectone on Twitter of one of the most horrific crimes didn't really have an effect on how many threats he gets, because nobody could figure out that she was talking about him, despite numerous people in the comments saying that it was Tectone. But when Tectone says any random thing about OnlyFans, even when he's showing that he's referencing a different person, it's an immediate threat to Pink Chu's life. So again, I think there's a bigger thing going on here where a bunch of people are collaborating with Pink Chu to try to destroy Tectone, Morgpie being one of them. By the way, these people are often stupid, so they leave tons of evidence lying around. Here's Miskiff going on a huge tirade during his Tectone video, where he's basically blowing Hassan and the rest of the LA streamer scene.
You attacked Hassan for months, years now, shitting on Hassan, farming so much hate on the guy, acting like he's a problem. You're farming hate on Hassan Piker all fucking day, Frogan, people that are doing shit. You attack Pokimane, Cutie Cinderella.
I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say that these people are talking, especially considering they live in the same area. I mean, Miskiff flat out admits to talking to Pink Chu, but you know, not out of concern for her well-being, but to point out that she didn't think it was weird when he shook her hand for too long that one time.
Then me and his ex-girlfriend started to talk, and I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, I never ever said that in my fucking life. Why the fuck would I care about that? Like, I did not shake her hand a long time.
You can watch Miskiff for about 60 seconds and easily see that this guy only cares about himself. Personally, I think all of this drama farming for him is just to make people not pay attention to his ex-girlfriend Emiru's allegations, saying that he was pretty abusive.
After like all of that Rust stuff happened was when the other domestic abuse stuff really started. He would destroy furniture in front of me. He would throw things in front of me and near me. Destroy walls. Again, you can go see this in some of his VODs in his bedroom, the holes in the wall. There would be times where he was upset at me and I would go to my stream room and literally lock myself in to get away from him, and he would be banging on the door and screaming at me. At the time, he also would more often do things like if we were driving in the car together, he would be going like 150 miles an hour, and like one time he even said like, well, now we're both gonna die, like threatening to kill both of us.
Interesting story. So we have Miskiff talking to Pink Chu. Well, of course he was talking to Pink Chu because he couldn't have known about the court date and where to send his court reporter to take a bunch of factually inaccurate notes. In fact, this idiot friend of Miskiff's who goes by Axion publicly admits to being invited to the court by Pink Chu.
He knows me. I think he tried to get me kicked out or something. I can only assume, that's not for sure, because the bailiff came over and asked me, are you here for her? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. The pig know? I said, yeah, she signed me up to be there.
What an idiot to have admitted that. So now we know that Miskiff and Axion's involvement with...
So they are all working together. So Pink Chu know that he was gonna be there, so that he could help Miskiff create this narrative to further damage Tectone's reputation on the internet. And this is what you think before you sleep is talking about, where, oh my gosh, they leave evidence lying around everywhere.
was directly approved by Pinkchu, which is interesting because it seems to be the case that Miskiff has gone on a full-on disinformation campaign against Tectone, where he spreads numerous lies that are easy to disprove if you just look at the court transcript. So now I believe this chick even left.
And Tectone can't defend himself because he cannot talk about anything related to the court case because the judge put him on a gag order. That's wonderful justice system, man. Wonderful.
Yes. If she was being honest, then she wouldn't have to side with people who constantly make statements of fact that are easy to verify as false. Here's another stupid one that Miskiff said.
And has to pay all of her attorney fees, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not a small price.
Miskiff, if this is how factually accurate you are in reporting the story, then you should go work for CNN. The fees were around $15,000. It's said out loud in the courtroom, so his friend would have heard it. And you think a guy like Miskiff, who has his own allegations of abuse and is saying they aren't true, would be more careful to accurately report information, especially considering that this stuff is so easy to look up. Anyway, Miskiff also graciously leaked his own DMs, showing that he was talking to Mike from PA, another Hassan orbiter, who went on to repeat other bombastic things about Tectone.
So there you have it, chat. Tectone is a rapist. He is a stalker. He's a danger to the community. And he should absolutely 100% be permanently banned from Twitch. And could someone explain to me why he's not been permanently banned from Twitch?
That is real crazy coming from a guy who was trying to get one of his viewers to assassinate a YouTuber he didn't like. Or was him simping over the $5 a month girl, the more egregious offense? And last, as far as I've been able to find, I think Denims is a part of this as well, because she was openly saying that it was Tectone being accused of sexual assault before that was public. So personally, in my opinion, I think this whole situation was not because Pinkchu was afraid of Tectone. I think it was a coordinated effort by people who hate Tectone to try to ruin his career. I mean, also, she has no proof that he's abusive outside of her saying he is. And let me elaborate on what I'm talking about. When Emiru accused Miskiff of being abusive, she brought receipts. She had Discord messages and then like a million schizo texts that he sent her after the breakup. Now I'm more likely to believe what she says because she can show documented behavior that supports her accusations. As for Tectone,
and I really do feel like she should have went after Miskiff legally. If I might be biased, but dang, I can't out here. I can't be out here and literally see people behaving with the like demons, bro, like evil demonic people out here. Even though I'd want people to become better, I want them to put their life on a better path, mostly towards Jesus, because he doesn't want anyone to be left behind. He wants to save the entire population, but they have to choose him, and choosing him comes with a lot of stuff that you can and can't do. One of these things is not spread misinformation, slander, lie about people. But since these people only use religion as a shield, they're gonna say that they follow such and such, but their actions don't really reflect. But man, if I'm talking too slowly, bro, it's just that it's the situation seems very, very unfair, and me realizing that I'm a man living in this unfair world, it makes it so that you do not want to go out there and interact with women. This is kind of like the radicalizing effect of when men didn't want to work with female coworkers in the workplace because they were afraid of being called into HR because they made some comment that was not meant in any way, but the person took it another way. They can't joke. They can't even, yeah. They don't want to be in a room with a woman by themselves. Even the situation with Jason Derulo recently, where a female, a woman that he hired to work with him, spread a whole host of false allegations, and now he says that he's afraid to go be alone with a woman he's working with ever again. And it really, how many times are we gonna see situations like this come out? And before we understand that there are bad people out here that will, when they realize they have a something, a system or an administration that they can manipulate, they will use that to the fullest extent to destroy someone. I'm telling you, if the criminal proceedings continued, like for him to actually do jail time, he shouldn't leave any stone unturned. And going there with an abundance of evidence to get the case thrown out, dismissed, and they can't, and make sure that they can't try him again on this BS. Because I'm still waiting on innocent until proven guilty. And if there's some miracle evidence that we haven't seen that he actually did the things that they are alleging, that they are claiming, he should go to jail and serve time for what he did. That is when I will finally believe what's going on, what he's been accused of. Because right here, this just seems like another one of those not so uncommon stories of the legal system being weaponized against a man that did nothing wrong.
The only time he mentions Pinkchu is after she accuses him of abuse, and what's really going on here is that she made an allegation with no corroborating evidence. Tectone says that's not true, and now he's getting legally punished for it. It's actually disturbing how often these types of situations happen. I mentioned recently that Turkey Tom was falsely accused by an ex-girlfriend of his in a situation that is strikingly similar to Tectone's, where 4 days after the breakup, she goes on to Kiwi Farms to accuse him of physical abuse, filming without consent, and engaging in weird fetishes.
Recently, I've been accused by an ex-girlfriend, along with an ex-partner, of non-consensually filming sexual encounters, being so rough and inconsiderate during sexual encounters that it bordered on assault, encouraging eating disorders, being into age play, along with a litany of other completely baseless, false accusations.
I saw all of this. He 100% debunked all of this. And I feel like Tectone should have had a just-in-case folder also. Whenever you're a known person, a content creator, you need to protect yourselves in all situations, in all possible situations where you can get harmed, whether that being reputationally, financially, physically, or legally. And Turkey Tom, dude, had a folder with so much evidence, he overwhelmingly exonerated himself. I'm telling you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, this dude didn't do anything, in my opinion, and it was only a bitter ex that wanted to ruin his career and his reputation.
The reality was that his ex-girlfriend Rowan was actively consenting to everything, including being filmed. She had a bunch of creepy fetishes, and she was trying to push Tom into behavior that he didn't want to engage with.
He never asked me. He would just pull out his phone and record. I wouldn't notice until maybe 30 seconds in a minute or a minute into it.
Now, I obviously can't and would never show these videos to anyone, but in them, it's undeniable that she is staring directly into the camera from the moment the video starts. Because the reality is that every single time we recorded, I had explicit permission. Rowan texts me saying, quote, "Rape thing is so hot." My response to this is, consensual sex is good.
It's funny because Tom sends texts like the FBI is watching. I just want to make sure that we've established that this is all consensual, okay? Somebody knew this was coming.
In the interview, it stated...
Dang. So, and that's the thing. Do not stick it in crazy. And that's Tectone's mistake. He stuck it in crazy and now his life is almost ruined.
That our breakup took place in December.
It's a good thing that people out here that have brains, and he still has his fan base. There are a lot of people that are gonna hate him same how they hate Chibi reviews and wish for him to not be in this world anymore, and we're celebrating the fact that he almost did it, celebrating the fact that he got cheated on, and just because the dude likes lolly characters. And I admit that it's weird. But lolly characters exist, as in children, in anime, fictional, and petite women, adult women that's over the age. If you care about that, yeah, and they just look underdeveloped.
And that after that she realized.
And someone is gonna be out here on my case because of all of these things that I'm saying. It's because I don't care if it's a fictional character, bro. People out here care more about fictional character than people that are in the EP files. You know, the island person files. But you can care about both these things at the same time. It's just that the amount of hate and vitriol that I see that people going after trivia reviews for, and some of their favorite people, yo, they not be even batting an eye.
Realized how bad it was, and she felt the need to contact Katie, who we're gonna get into later.
Gee, where have I heard that one before? If you watch Tom's video on the false allegations against him, it's an incredibly similar story to Tectone's, except I think Tom is a little bit more conscientious about this stuff, and so he made sure to have evidence of his ex openly saying that she would blackmail him if they didn't get back together.
Immediately after I told Rowan that I wanted to break up with her, she began threatening to post about me online.
I'm gonna make it hard for you to ever be in a relationship.
Okay, Rowan, I just want to move on and have my life, and you'll move on and have your life, and we can be in our own corners. We don't have to do damage to each other.
Like, do you think we'll ever be able to see each other?
After the way these conversations have gone today, I really don't think so.
Why?
Because you're like threatening to blackmail me.
I'm not. Well, if you don't come see me, then I will.
You know what's great about all this?
See that?
Despite that Tom has her recorded saying that she will blackmail him, there really isn't much remedy you can get against someone for false allegations unless you sue them for defamation, which is expensive and hard to prove, and it's why people feel safe in falsely accusing somebody.
Exactly. Safe in falsely accusing you because defamation is hard to prove. You have to prove that you suffered damages in some way, shape, or form, either that monetarily, reputationally, you know, because of people making these baseless allegations. People that have not been convicted of a crime, they're out here making baseless allegations, criminal allegations on their name. That's why Hassan is so comfortable calling Tectone, yeah.
And then asshats like Hassan will boost the false allegations without critical thought or saying, where's the evidence?
By the way, one of your OG slop tuber ops, Turkey Tom, also caught a sexual assault allegation where he physically abused 2 of his exes. This didn't even reach your radar because he's laying low. No, it didn't reach my radar because I have so many fucking ops that have done like sexual assault that I don't even know who the fuck this one is. But that's crazy.
There he is, just agreeing with and validating the allegation with no pushback, despite knowing nothing about it. Luckily, Tom knew the exact way to humiliate his ex for blackmailing him and how to prove his innocence. But for average people, this can be life-destroying, and there's not really much you can do about it. Anyway, let's go to the court decision. Like everyone else, I already knew the results before I read this transcript, and I was still shocked to see this. Based on the testimony and the evidence that's been provided to the court does find that there are reasonable grounds to believe that the applicant is the victim of sexual assault. The court makes the additional finding that there are reasonable grounds to believe that the applicant is the victim of stalking and will grant a 10-year protective order. The court means the judge, by the way. The judge made this decision, just to make it clear that this was not a trial by jury. Some additional things. Tectone has to pay $15,000 in lawyer fees to Pink Chew. He can't go anywhere near her. Who cares about that? He obviously doesn't want to go near her. He has lost his right to own a firearm for 10 years, which is nuts considering she didn't really have any evidence that Tectone was dangerous. And he's not allowed to talk about her, which again is also ridiculous, not because he can't say the name Pink Chew for 10 years, but because of the criteria they consider to be a conversation about Pink Chew. As in, if Tectone ever talks about OnlyFans in a negative light, is he liable for criminal charges? This is insane. Knowing nothing going in, I don't think any reasonable person would have agreed with the judge.
And I'm telling you, the judge right here, I'm not sure if he's gonna go into it, but she is a biased judge because she admittedly on her own website said that, go watch the Nuxtaki video on this situation, bro, that she has experienced being in a situation where sexual assault or DV was domestic violence was taking place. That right there, literally, by your own admission, you should have recused yourself from this case if you had any integrity. You are biased, and there's no way you could have judged this in a fair light. And because of that, Tectone Yeah, he couldn't have won. He couldn't have won even if he had all the evidence.
Here, so I started researching on who this person is. Judge Dimple Malhotra.
Oh,
If you
here
go to her
she
website,
is.
it
As soon as I said it, the dude came out with it.
basically describes her as an activist who started out by working in San Francisco, California. Remember how I said that Austin is the California of Texas? Also this.
It is so incredibly important that we celebrate and embrace diversity. And I think it's just so important for, even for this courtroom, when people walk into this courtroom and they're from different ethnicities, cultural backgrounds, socioeconomic statuses, to be able to walk in and see someone who looks like me, I think provides a certain level of comfort to them.
An immigrant who grew up in the U.S. with a family environment deeply rooted in Indian culture, Judge Dimple Malhotra is the first and only person of South Asian descent elected to a judicial seat in Travis County history. Oh, great. So she's one of those people where we have to focus on their race instead of their qualifications.
Exactly. You know, oftentimes I think, especially for me, being an immigrant, being a woman of color.
Basically, I'm saying the judge is woke. Now, there were a bunch of arguments made by Pinchu's lawyer that didn't really make sense to me. I mean the ones where she brings up Tectone talking about anti-white racism. What does that have to do with this case? What does it have to do with Pinchu?
Exactly. This is the part that I was talking about earlier in the video. When I to paint him as an alt-right or far-right personality, white supremacist, to make it even harder for him in front of an activist judge.
Why did Pinchu bring up that she's half Mexican? Why are they making arguments that are irrelevant and would clearly make a judge who ran as a Democrat think that Tectone is a racist? Keep in mind that this court case is occurring on January 23rd of 2026, which is during a bunch of anti-ICE riots and after Renee Good died. These are very politically polarized things to bring up that I think aren't relevant to Tectone's case.
But it plays on the emotion to say, let's stick it to this white man, this racist white supremacist white man. I can see that.
I'm guessing that maybe Pinchu's lawyer did some research on the judge, and maybe this is why Judge Malhotra didn't notice things like Pinchu's lawyer victim-blaming Tectone for his abuse as a child in her opening statements.
And this is the abuse that when he got groomed by some crazy woman on the internet, to go to her house, to do she drugged him, probably gave him alcohol or something. I don't remember the story exactly, but he woke up and she was giving him head, oral, yeah. Then, because of that, the dude basically had that trauma growing up with, and even though he's straight, he couldn't, have sex because he thought that it looked away. And by it, I'm talking about a vagina. And then,
something that was immediately noticeable to me. I mean, this statement right here very much makes it seem like Pinchu was trying to use shame to force Tectone into sex acts that he was uncomfortable with because of his childhood trauma. Wouldn't it be ironic if that were the case?
Because you spent your career doing domestic violence cases and you have a background, some might think that it would be hard for you to be impartial as the judge.
Right.
So how do you maintain your impartiality?
As a prosecutor, I took an oath to seek justice, not conviction. And so people have to remember that and that not to say that there aren't prosecutors in the world who are doing the wrong thing. Unfortunately, with every profession,
you're one of those. You're only saying the right thing right now because you're in an interview.
Have people who really shouldn't be in that profession, who are there for the wrong reason. I took an oath as a judge to be fair and impartial. And that is also incredibly important. People walking into your courtroom deserve your impartiality and to listen to their side of the story.
And she's
that
biased.
Was hard to listen to considering her decision on Tectone's case. How do you stay impartial? That's easy. The answer is she doesn't. Now, this does seem like a random question to ask. So why was it brought up? Well, the answer to that, I think, is a much bigger issue than the diversity stuff from earlier. The answer, I think, is a massive conflict of interest. I believe she was asked that question because a few years prior to this interview, there was an article written on her about how a lawyer got her taken off his case because of her domestic violence activism. Now,
Tectone's lawyer should have did some research into her also, because right here, you cannot be impartial when you're being an activist in a domestic violence situation. Yes, you can be an activist for domestic violence, but you cannot preside over any case that involves domestic violence.
I think that trying to stop domestic violence is great. However, I also agree with the defense attorney, Steve Brand, who says that her activism makes her biased towards alleged victims, and there's no way he could win a case with her as a judge. He also kind of recommends that every defense lawyer should be filing a motion to remove her from their case. And personally, after reading the transcript of Tectone's hearing, I agree. And in my armchair internet lawyer opinion with 2020 hindsight, Tectone's lawyer should have gotten Judge Dimple removed and gone with somebody else. I'm curious how many other people like Tectone she's done this to, where the accuser has no corroborating evidence, mixed in with strong counter evidence against her story.
A lot of people don't know that there's a huge intersection between gun violence and domestic violence.
And that's why he got his gun rights taken away.
All the studies that have been done show us that over half of the cases where there have been mass shootings, the mass shooter has had a history of domestic violence.
Did I hear that correctly? Is this why Tectone has to be treated like a felon for something that, after reading the transcript, I don't think he did? It looks like she's on some sort of anti-gun crusade, which is why she took his access to firearms away for a decade. For a decade, when he's a streamer, which puts his life in danger. Has she ever...
Exactly. The dude can be swatted. It's a evil world we live in, man. It's an evil fallen world that we live in. That's crazy. Okay. I understand. We got to be moving different out here. But in my case, I assume I won't be having these problems because my girl, she gonna be of the faith, as in a Christian, following biblical values. So we won't end up in this situation as long as God is willing.
Heard of the phrase correlation does not equal causation? What evidence do you have that Tectone's going to crash out and become like a mass shooter or something? Is this why Pink Shoe's lawyer tried to associate him with white supremacy? Is it also why Pink Shoe's lawyer, immorally in my opinion, pretended to be a medical expert on schizophrenia to frame Tectone as an unmedicated psycho who could break any time? By the way, Tectone got re-diagnosed and he doesn't have schizophrenia.
I went to a psychiatrist yesterday. Guys, I'm not schizophrenic. The psychiatrist believes the reason why I see things that aren't there, mainly, well, at night, is due to the fact that I got stabbed in my left eye and my right eye is normal. And so they believe that my eyeballs are causing me to temporarily hallucinate things that aren't there because they're not signaling my brain properly. And what they believe that I have is anxiety with bad vision as well as unresolved childhood trauma. And so I was going to actually try to get medicated. They said I do not require medication.
You have to read the transcript to get to the level of fuck these people that I'm at. Basically what's happened here is that to a judge who appears to be in favor of DEI and appears to be anti-gun, Pink Shoe's lawyer framed Tectone as a violent, unmedicated, schizophrenic neo-Nazi. Tectone is also bald, so he might as well be seen as a skinhead too.
Oh my! I forgot that. Okay. Yo, I shouldn't have reacted to this video, bro. This video is messing with me. It just.
No wonder this trial ended the way it did. This is so messed up, and I don't just think this is a violation of the First and the Second Amendment, but also a violation of the Eighth Amendment against cruel and unusual punishment. It's also clear to me, in my opinion, based on the evidence that I've shown, that a big part of the reason that Pink Shoe filed for this protective order is to avoid a defamation lawsuit. Maybe Tectone's biggest mistake here was being openly arrogant around all this during his live streams, but it's hard to blame him because who in the hell would have thought that he would have lost this case based on the evidence in the court transcripts? And you know what the real messed up thing is? Well, I said it already. Pink Shoe most likely will not receive any consequences for this, and Tectone will probably not be able to win an appeal because of how appeals court works. The sad truth is that there is very little recourse for victims of false allegations, and if Pink Shoe were found to be lying, which, in my opinion, she was, there's basically nothing that you can do outside of suing for defamation, which is incredibly expensive, hard to prove, and Tectone likely would not win a defamation case because the order of protection was granted. Well, if he's even allowed to file a lawsuit like that at this point. On top...
Oh my god. So, dang. So the entire situation is messed up. He's backed into a corner unless he can get it appealed and the ruling was rescinded. And if he doesn't get the same activist judge that handed down the biased ruling in the first place. Dang. This is messed up, Tectone. This is messed up for you, bro. Yo, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, and it's sad. It's unfortunate.
top of that, this horrendous court decision will give protection to people such as Hassan Piker, Denims, Mike from PA, and Miskiff when they call Tectone an abuser, and when they repeatedly lie about the facts of the case.
There was also, and this is confirmed, he had recordings of some of the sexual assaults and his victim in sexually compromising positions, and was ordered to delete all of them, or else he was going to prison that day. The judge said, if you don't delete them right now,
no, that's fan fiction, my G. That's fan fiction. How it's not a criminal proceeding, so he couldn't be going to court that day, bro. It's just
I'm going to put you in prison myself.
This is yet another lie. This did not happen. All the judge said was to not share explicit content of Pinkchu that was privately filmed. As for Tectone, on his return to live streaming after a long break, he stated that he wants to respect the court's decision and move on.
I lost the civil case. I did, but I do
I really know you want to move on, you want to respect the court's decision, but in my opinion, you got an unfair judge, a biased judge, and you got railroaded in the case, man. That was the definition of everything stacked against you, all biases, no impartiality. Okay.
Genuinely want to respect the court's decision. I believe, even though I lost the case, I do believe that this still gets me to where I want to go, which is for all parties to simply move on. That's pretty much all I want, is for everybody to go their separate ways.
She in the transcripts, it said that the criminal case was suspended, and it might be she might revisit it sometime down the line if she feels up to it. Maybe it might not happen, but this is one of those situations where a man lost for being a man, like literally.
To be able to move on and find solace and peace in their life. Genuinely.
That's a very kind way to put it. I'd be a lot more mad. I mean, I was furious at the court's decision after doing the research, and this isn't even my life. But in times like this, I think we can look back on the words of wisdom from Keemstar about it being a stupid idea to date a chick who does OnlyFans. Anyway, thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next.
Yo, people, this was it was a bad idea to react to this video. If you made it this far, people, I appreciate you. I really do. As always, protect yourselves from any form of attack on your life, whether that be legal, reputational, physical, psychological. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next one, whichever one it may be, people. God loves you. God bless you. Get to know Jesus, because we really do need him in this horrible, evil world that we live in. That is getting scarier and scarier every day. I want his return. I want his return to be like that. But none of us are already on this planet. As much as we try to live the life that would be, representative of his character, and I'm talking about Jesus, none of us are truly able to live that life. So we have to rely on his strength every day. But guys, I'll see you in the next one, whichever one it may be. Take care of yourselves, and make sure you get that just in case folder ready. I'll see you guys in the next one. My name's Wolf, and this just put a damper on my entire mood, bro, because of all of this information I wasn't aware of. Later, people. Peace out. Take your mask. Let's get this. Later.